The ring light cast a perfect glow across my face as I adjusted my webcam, checking the chat for the thousandth time. 2.3 million followers. It still felt surreal. Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Kayla, I said, my voice steady and confident. Today we're diving into Python automation, something that's literally changed my life. My fingers danced across the keyboard, muscle memory guiding every keystroke. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The comments flooded in faster than I could read them. Queen, you're amazing! Can you teach my whole comp sci class? I grinned, that familiar rush of connection washing over me. This was my world, my kingdom, built from nothing but determination and late nights fueled by energy drinks and pure spite. Kayla, do you have family? You never talk about them. The comment hit like a punch to the gut. My smile faltered for just a second, long enough for my regular viewers to notice. I cleared my throat, fingers pausing over the code. Families? It's complicated, I said, forcing that practiced laugh. But hey, you all are my family now, right? The chat exploded with hearts and supportive messages, but the damage was done. The memories came flooding back whether I wanted them or not. 3 years ago, I was 16, standing in our cramped living room in Millfield, Ohio, watching my parents stuff suitcase after suitcase into our dented Honda Civic. Lily, barely 14, stood by the door with her acceptance letter to the prestigious Westwood Performing Arts Academy clutched in her hands like a golden ticket. "This is Lily's shot," Mom said, not meeting my eyes as she folded another of my sister's costumes. "She needs our support now." "What about me?" I asked, my voice small. "What about my computer science scholarship interview next month?" Dad looked up from his laptop where he was calculating travel expenses. "Kayla, you're smart. You'll figure it out. You always do." His tone was dismissive, like I was a problem already solved. Besides, Grandma Rose needs someone to look after her. That was it. No discussion, no consideration. Lily was the star, the one with dreams worth chasing. I was just the practical one, the one who'd be fine on my own. "Kayla, you okay, sweetheart?" Grandma Rose's voice pulled me back to the present. She stood in my office doorway, her silver hair pinned back, holding a steaming mug of her famous hot chocolate. At 72, she moved with more purpose than most people half her age. "Just finishing up the stream," I said, quickly wrapping up the tutorial. "Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and I'll see you Thursday for our React deep dive." I ended the stream and sank back in my chair, the weight of the past settling on my shoulders like a familiar blanket. 3 years. 3 years since they packed up and left me behind like I was yesterday's news. "That looked like a successful one," Grandma said, settling into the chair across from my desk. Her eyes, sharp as ever, studied my face. "But something rattled you." Someone asked about family. I spun my chair to face her, taking the mug gratefully. The chocolate was perfect, rich and sweet with just a hint of cinnamon. "About them or about what you've built despite them?" That was Grandma Rose. Straight to the heart of things, no dancing around. She'd been furious when Robert, her own son, had made that choice. That boy was raised better, she had said, her voice tight with disappointment, but she'd opened her home and her heart to me without question. Both, I guess. I pulled up my analytics dashboard, the numbers still staggering, even to me. "Look at this, Grandma. 6-figure months, brand deals with Microsoft and Google, a freaking TED Talk invitation." My voice cracked slightly. "And they have no idea." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Their loss, baby girl. But don't you build your success on their approval. You're worth more than that." My phone buzzed with a notification, an email from TechCrunch. They wanted to feature me in their 30 under 30 list. I should have been thrilled. Instead, all I could think about was how proud Dad might have been if he'd bothered to stick around to see it. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd fought harder, if I'd begged them to stay or take me with them. Grandma's expression hardened. You were 16 years old. It wasn't your job to fight for their love. It was their job to give it freely. She stood, straightening her shoulders. And look what you've accomplished without them. You think Lily is living in a penthouse in LA right now? I almost smiled at that. Grandma had never minced words about my parents' choices or my sister's chances in Hollywood. She'd been in their corner initially, but watching them abandon me had shifted something fundamental in her. My laptop chimed with another notification. This one made my blood run cold. A Facebook message from a number I didn't recognize, but the profile picture was unmistakable. Rebecca Williams, my mother. Kayla, honey, I know it's been a while, but I found your videos online. We need to talk. It's important. Please call me. My hands trembled as I read it twice, then a third time. 3 years of silence, and now this? What is it? Grandma asked, reading my expression. I turned the screen toward her. She read the message, her jaw tightening with each word. Well, she said finally, her voice deceptively calm, I guess we're about to find out what important means to Rebecca Williams these days. I stared at the message, my heart hammering against my ribs. Whatever they wanted, whatever had driven them to reach out after all this time, I knew it wasn't going to be good news. But I also knew something else. I wasn't that broken 16-year-old anymore. I was Keilla Williams, tech entrepreneur, with millions of followers and enough money to buy and sell my parents' dreams 10 times over. Let them come crawling back. This time, I'd be ready. The phone rang at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, while I was debugging code and Grandma Rose was watching her crime shows in the next room. The number was blocked, but something in my gut told me exactly who it was. I let it ring 3 times before answering, my voice carefully neutral. Hello? Keilla? Oh my God, Keilla, is that really you? Mom's voice hit me like a freight train, all breathless and fake cheerful in that way that meant she wanted something. I can't believe I'm actually talking to my daughter. Your daughter. Like she'd earned that title. Like she hadn't forfeited it the day she chose Lily's dreams over my existence. Rebecca, I said, deliberately using her first name. I heard her sharp intake of breath at the slight, and part of me felt satisfied. What do you want? Can't I just call to talk to you? I'm your mother, Keilla. I miss you. I almost laughed. 3 years. 3 birthdays, 3 Christmases, 3 years of radio silence, and now she missed me? Cut the crap. You found my YouTube channel, didn't you? A pause. Too long. Yes, I saw your videos. Sweetheart, I had no idea you were so successful. I'm so proud of... Don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. Just don't. You don't get to be proud of something you had nothing to do with. Through the phone, I could hear muffled voices in the background, Lily saying something about rent, Dad's voice tight with stress. The pieces clicked into place like code compiling. You're broke, I said. It wasn't a question. Another pause. It's complicated, honey. Things have been challenging out here. The industry is so competitive, and Lily's been facing some setbacks. Mom, Dad's voice came through the phone, distant but clear. Just tell her. Tell me what? I stood up from my desk, pacing to my window. Outside, Millfield looked exactly the same as it had 3 years ago. Small, safe. Everything they'd been so eager to leave behind. I heard the phone being passed, fumbling, and then Dad's voice came through, weary and defeated. Keilla, we need help. There it was. The truth, finally. I had been waiting 3 years to hear it, and now that the moment was here, I felt empty, hollow. Like all the anger I'd been carrying had suddenly leaked out, leaving nothing behind. What kind of help? I asked. Financial. His voice cracked on the word.
We're 3 months behind on rent. The car got repossessed last week. I've been looking for work, but accounting jobs out here are, well, they're not easy to come by. And with Lily's training costs? How much? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Keila, you don't understand. We don't just need a loan. We need... He trailed off, and I could practically see him running the numbers in his head, that same expression he used to get when balancing our family budget back when we were actually a family. How much, Dad? 40,000, maybe 50, just to get us back on our feet, cover the rent we owe, get a reliable car. I hung up. The silence in my office was deafening. Through the walls, I could hear the familiar sounds of Grandma's detective show, the theme music swelling as another case got solved. If only real life were that simple. My phone started ringing again immediately. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail, then played the message on speaker. Keila, please don't hang up. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but we're family. We're your parents. I know we made mistakes. I deleted the message halfway through. The phone rang again. This time, I answered on the first ring. Mistakes? My voice was deadly quiet. Mistakes are forgetting to pick someone up from school or missing a birthday party. Abandoning your 16-year-old daughter so you can chase your other kid's pipe dream is not a mistake. It's a choice. Keila, Mom started. No, you don't get to talk right now. You want to know what your mistake cost me? I had a full-ride scholarship interview at MIT. Did you know that? Of course you didn't, because you never bothered to ask about my dreams. I missed it because I was too busy processing the fact that my own parents had just thrown me away like garbage. The line went quiet. I could hear Lily crying in the background. But here's the thing, I continued, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. I didn't need MIT. I didn't need you. I built something better than anything you could have ever given me. So you want my help? You want my money? Then you're going to have to earn it. What do you mean? Dad's voice was cautious now.
I mean, I'm not just writing you a check so you can keep living in fantasy land. You want my help? You come back to Ohio. All of you. You get real jobs, Lily goes to regular high school, and you figure out how to live in the real world like the rest of us. That's ridiculous. Mom's voice was shrill now, all pretense of sweetness gone. Lily's career is over. The words came out harsher than I meant them, but I didn't take them back. How many callbacks has she gotten this year? How many parts? Silence. That's what I thought. You burned through your life savings chasing a dream that was never going to happen, and now you want me to finance the delusion. Well, here's my counteroffer. Come home. Face reality. Show me you can be actual parents instead of stage parents. Then we'll talk. Keila, honey, please. I hung up again. This time, I turned off the phone. Grandma Rose appeared in my doorway, her expression carefully neutral. That sounded intense. They want money. I slumped back into my chair, suddenly exhausted. $50,000 to keep living their fantasy. She nodded slowly. And what did you tell them? That they could come back here if they want my help? I looked up at her, searching her face for approval, disapproval, anything. Was that wrong? She was quiet for a long moment, studying me with those sharp eyes. Finally, she smiled, not a happy smile, but a proud one. Baby girl, you just did something I've been waiting 3 years to see. You took control. She walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. The question now is, what are you going to do when they say yes? I stared out my window at the small town that had raised me, that had caught me when my own family let me fall. $50,000 was nothing to me now. I made that in a month just from ad revenue. But this wasn't about money. It had never been about money. This was about proving a point. about making them see what they'd thrown away, about forcing them to live with the consequences of their choices just like I had to. I guess we'll find out. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with Grandma Rose, both of us nursing cups of coffee that had long gone cold, talking through what came next. The morning light filtering through the windows felt different somehow, like the world had shifted overnight. "You sure about this path you're walking?" Grandma asked, her fingers wrapped around her mug. "Once you open this door, there's no closing it again." I've been thinking about this for 3 years. Every successful stream, every brand deal, every milestone, part of me was always preparing for this moment. I just didn't know it would feel so empty, she supplied. I nodded. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel tired. The phone had been ringing all morning, blocked numbers, messages I wasn't ready to hear. But I knew I had to face this eventually. I couldn't build my future on avoiding my past. Jake arrived around 10, letting himself in through the back door like he'd been doing for the past year. My business partner had become something more, though we'd never put a label on it, and he had this way of showing up exactly when I needed him without being asked. "Rough night?" he asked, taking in my rumpled clothes and the empty coffee mug scattered across the table. "Family drama," which was both everything and nothing. He poured himself coffee from the pot, settling into the chair across from me. Jake came from one of those families where Sunday dinners were mandatory and everyone actually showed up, where parents drove 6 hours to see their kids' college graduation and siblings texted each other random memes just because. It had taken me months to understand that not all families were like mine. "Want to talk about it?" I found myself telling him everything. The phone calls, the desperation in my parents' voices, Lily's muffled sobs in the background. He listened without judgment, asking questions that helped me think through the tangle of emotions. "So, what's your gut telling you?" That I want them to hurt the way they hurt me. But also that I want to fix this. I want to have a family again, even if it's broken. "Those aren't mutually exclusive," Grandma Rose said quietly. "Sometimes people need to feel consequences before they can learn to make better choices." Jake nodded slowly. "In my family, we have this saying, love without boundaries is just enabling." Sounds like they need to understand what real accountability looks like. I pulled out my phone, staring at the string of missed calls. 17 since last night. What if they say no? What if they choose their pride over having me in their lives again? And then you'll know where you really stand. And baby girl, that might hurt, but it'll also set you free. I took a deep breath and dialed. Mom answered on the first ring. "Keilla, thank God, we've been trying to reach you all night. About what you said." I meant every word, but I've thought about it more and I want to be clearer about what I'm offering. I heard fumbling as she put me on speaker. Suddenly, the whole family was listening. "Here's the deal," I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "I will pay off your debts and give you a fresh start, but it happens on my terms, in my town. You move back to Millfield within 30 days. You find an apartment. I'll pay first and last month's rent, but nothing fancy. Dad, you get a job within 60 days, something real that pays actual money. Mom, same deal." "Keilla," Dad started. "I'm not finished. Lily enrolls in Millfield High School. No private tutors, no special arts programs, just regular high school like everybody else. She can do local theater if she wants, but the Hollywood dream is over. You all stay in Ohio for at least 2 years. If you try to leave before then, you pay me back every penny." The silence stretched so long I wondered if they'd hung up. That's insane," Mom finally said. "You're asking us to give up everything we've worked for." "What exactly have you worked for?" The question came out sharper than I intended. Debt? Broken dreams? The privilege of abandoning one daughter to chase the other's fantasies? "Lily is incredibly talented." "Lily is 17 years old with no high school diploma and no backup plan," I cut her off.
What happens when she ages out of the cute kid roles but isn't trained for adult ones? What happens when her looks change or she gets injured? You've put all your eggs in a basket that's already cracking. I heard Lily's voice, muffled and tear-choked. I can still make it. I just need more time. My heart ached for her, but I pushed the sympathy down. Lily, how many auditions have you been on in the past 6 months? Silence. How many callbacks? It's been a tough season, Mom started. How many? I pressed. 43 auditions. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. 2 callbacks. No bookings. The numbers hit like physical blows. I'd suspected, but hearing it confirmed made everything real in a way that hurt to contemplate. Baby sister, I said, my voice gentler now. You're incredibly talented, but talent isn't enough in that world. You know what is enough? Having a family that loves you no matter what. Having an education. Having options. I don't want options, she said defiantly, even through her tears. I want this. What you want and what's realistic aren't the same thing. Trust me, I learned that lesson the hard way. Dad cleared his throat. What about our lease here? Our commitments. Dad, you're 3 months behind on rent. What commitments? I rubbed my forehead, feeling a headache building. Look, I'll pay the penalties to break your lease, I'll hire movers, and I'll even help you find jobs. But this is a package deal. All of you or none of you. You're asking us to completely uproot our lives, Mom said. I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? Being told you have to leave everything you know behind for someone else's vision of what's best for you. The pointed silence told me they understood the parallel. I need time to think, Dad said finally. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires. You've had 3 years to make this work on your own. Now, you either trust me to help you build something sustainable, or you figure it out without me. Those are your choices. I hung up before any of them could respond. Jake reached across the table and took my hand. That was brutal. But fair, Grandma Rose added. Sometimes love has to be tough, baby girl. You're offering them more than they deserve, but you're also making sure they can't take advantage of your generosity. I stared out the kitchen window at the yard where I'd learned to ride my bike, where I'd built my first computer, where I'd cried after they left me behind. This little house had seen all my triumphs and failures, had sheltered me when the people who were supposed to protect me had chosen someone else instead. Now I was asking them to come back to the place they'd been so eager to leave. Was I being fair or was I being cruel? What if this backfires? What if they hate me for it? Then at least you'll know you tried to save them on your own terms instead of enabling them on theirs, Jake said. Grandma Rose nodded. And baby girl, if they can't see the love in what you're offering, then they aren't ready to be your family anyway. 24 hours. In a day, I'd know whether the people who'd given me life were willing to fight for the chance to be part of mine again. I just had to decide if I was ready for either answer. They called back 18 hours later. Dad's voice was hollow when he said, "We'll do it." 3 weeks after that, I watched from my office window as a beat-up moving truck pulled into the driveway of 412 Maple Street. The rental house looked smaller than I remembered, its white paint chipped and the front steps sagging slightly. Nothing like their LA apartment with the pool and the view of the Hollywood sign. I stayed inside while they unloaded their boxes, but I saw everything. Mom directing the movers with sharp gestures, her designer clothes looking out of place in small-town Ohio. Dad hunched over, carrying box after box like he was hauling the weight of his failures. And Lily, God, Lily looked so young standing on the sidewalk in her perfectly coordinated outfit, staring at Millfield High School across the street like it was a prison.
Mr. Thompson waved from his porch next door. He'd been our neighbor since before I was born, watched me grow up, seen my parents pack up and leave me behind. His expression when they'd driven away 3 years ago had said everything about what he thought of their choice. Now he was watching them return with the same careful neutrality. That evening, Jake and I drove past their house. The lights were on in every room, shadows moving behind thin curtains. A family trying to figure out how to be a family again in a place they'd been desperate to escape. "How do you feel?" Jake asked. I pressed my forehead against the cool window glass. "Like I'm watching strangers wear my family's faces." "Maybe that's what they are now," he said quietly. "Maybe you all are." That night, Lily showed up at my door. Her hair was in a messy bun, her face scrubbed clean of makeup, wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual LA polish. She looked more like the sister I remembered than the aspiring actress she'd become. "Can we talk?" she asked. I stepped aside to let her in, studying her face for signs of resentment or anger. Instead, I saw something I hadn't expected: exhaustion. "Mom's having a breakdown," she said without preamble. "Dad applied to 12 jobs today, and I start school tomorrow at a place where everyone's going to know exactly why we're back." "Are you asking for sympathy?" She shook her head. "I'm asking if you hate me." The question hit me sideways. "Lily, because I think I hate me right now. I destroyed our family chasing something that was never going to happen, and now you're the only one trying to put us back together." I stared at my little sister, seeing her clearly for maybe the first time in years. Not the golden child, not the family's great hope, just a scared 17-year-old who'd had the weight of everyone's dreams crushing her shoulders. "I don't hate you," I said finally, "but I don't trust any of you yet either." 2 months in, the facade started crumbling. I found out from Jake, who heard it from his mom at the grocery store. Rebecca Williams was making comments to anyone who'd listen about how her controlling older daughter was keeping the family hostage, how I was jealous of Lily's talent and punishing them all for my own failures. "She actually said you peaked in high school," Jake told me, his jaw tight with anger. "At the checkout line, loud enough for half the store to hear." The betrayal burned fresh and sharp. I'd been paying their rent, their utilities, their groceries. I even quietly arranged for Dad to get an interview at Henderson Accounting. And this is how she talked about me? But it was Lily who really set me off. She cornered me at the coffee shop on Main Street, her voice sharp with accusation. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us struggle?" I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been editing a sponsorship contract. "Excuse me? Don't play innocent. You could fix everything with one phone call, but instead you're making us jump through hoops like trained animals." Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "You destroyed our chances in LA because you couldn't stand that I was successful and you weren't." The words hit like physical blows. "Successful?" I kept my voice level, but inside I was screaming. "Lily, you went to 43 auditions and booked 0 jobs. Our parents are in debt up to their eyeballs. How exactly is that success? At least I was trying. At least I wasn't hiding in some small town making videos for losers who—" She stopped herself, but it was too late. "For losers what?" I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Every conversation in the coffee shop had gone quiet. "Go ahead. Finish that sentence." Lily's face went pale. "Keilla, I didn't mean—" "You know what? You're right. I am enjoying this. I'm enjoying watching you realize that the world doesn't revolve around your dreams. I'm enjoying Dad having to work a real job for the first time in 3 years. And yeah, I'm especially enjoying the fact that you need me now after spending your whole life acting like I was invisible." I grabbed my laptop and walked out, leaving her sitting there with tears streaming down her face. That night, Dad showed up at my house. He looked older somehow, the stress lines around his eyes deeper than they even been when they first came back. "We need to talk," he said. Dr. Martinez had kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude that reminded me of Grandma Rose. The family therapy session was another one of my conditions, though getting everyone there required threats and ultimatums. We sat in a circle, like we were at some twisted summer camp. Mom picked at her nails, Dad stared at the floor.
Lily hugged a throw pillow like armor, and I sat rigid in my chair, arms crossed, ready for battle. "Let's start with why we're here," Dr. Martinez said. "Keilla?" "Because my family abandoned me 3 years ago to chase my sister's acting career, went broke, and now they want my money to fix their mistakes, but they're acting like I'm the villain for having conditions. That's not... Rebecca, let her finish."
I took a shaky breath. They left me with my grandmother on my 16th birthday. Just packed up and moved across the country like I didn't exist. And now Lily's blaming me for ruining her big break, like I personally sabotaged Hollywood. "Is that true?" Dr. Martinez asked Lily. Lily's voice was small. "I didn't say that exactly. You said I destroyed your chances because I was jealous of your success." The words tasted bitter. "But here's what you don't know, little sister. I had a full scholarship interview at MIT the week after you left. I missed it because I was too busy having a nervous breakdown." The room went deadly quiet. "I also got accepted to Stanford's summer coding program, turned it down because I couldn't afford to leave Grandma Rose alone." My voice was getting stronger now, years of suppressed anger finally finding its target. "So yeah, you're right. Your career cost me opportunities, but at least one of us made something of ourselves afterward." "Keilla!" Dad's voice was strangled. "No, we're doing honesty now." I turned to face him. "Tell her about the money, Dad. Tell her how you liquidated my college fund to pay for her headshots." Lily went white. "What? I never told you that part, did I? The $23,000 I'd saved from babysitting and birthday money since I was 12? Gone. Because your acting coach needed payment up front." "Robert, is this true?" Dr. Martinez asked Lily. Dad's shoulders sagged. We thought Keilla would understand. She was always so independent, so smart. We figured she'd find another way." "Independent," I laughed, and it sounded broken. "You know what that really means? It means you never had to worry about me. Never had to show up to my science fairs or help with my homework because I figured it out on my own. It means when you had to choose which daughter to keep, you picked the one who needed you more." "We never meant to choose," Mom whispered. "But you did choose." Tears were streaming down my face now, 3 years of pain finally breaking free. "So yeah, you're right. Your career cost me opportunities, but at least one of us made something of ourselves afterward." "Keilla!" Dad's voice was strangled. "No, we're doing honesty now." I turned to face him. "Tell her about the money, Dad. Tell her how you liquidated my college fund to pay for her headshots." Lily went white. "What? I never told you that part, did I? The $23,000 I'd saved from babysitting and birthday money since I was 12? Gone. Because your acting coach needed payment up front." "Robert, is this true?" Dr. Martinez asked. Dad's shoulders sagged. We thought Keilla would understand. She was always so independent, so smart. We figured she'd find another way." "Independent," I laughed, and it sounded broken. "You know what that really means? It means you never had to worry about me. Never had to show up to my science fairs or help with my homework because I figured it out on my own. It means when you had to choose which daughter to keep, you picked the one who needed you more." "We never meant to choose," Mom whispered. "But you did choose." Tears were streaming down my face now, 3 years of pain finally breaking free. "So yeah, you're right. Your career cost me opportunities, but at least one of us made something of ourselves afterward." The week after the therapy session, Lily disappeared. Not literally. She went to school, came home, did her homework, but the spark that had always defined her was gone. She moved through the house like a ghost, speaking only when spoken to, her usual dramatic flair replaced by hollow silence. I found her 3 days later sitting in our old treehouse behind Grandma Rose's property. The wooden structure was smaller than I remembered, weathered by years of Ohio winters, but still sturdy. Lily sat with her knees pulled to her chest, staring out at the sunset through gaps in the boards. "I called Emma Rodriguez yesterday," she said without looking at me. Emma had been her closest friend at the LA Academy, another small-town girl chasing Hollywood dreams. "Want to know what she's doing now?"
I climbed up and settled across from her, the familiar creak of old wood beneath us. What? Waitressing at a diner in North Hollywood, living with 3 roommates in a studio apartment, going to auditions during her lunch breaks. Lily's voice was flat, emotionless. Then I called Marcus Chen. Remember him? Won the regional Shakespeare competition when we were 14. She finally met my eyes. He's back home in Kansas, working at his dad's hardware store. Gave up acting completely last year. Lily? I called 8 people from my class, Keilla. 8. You know how many are still pursuing acting full-time? 2. And both of them are surviving on their parents' money while they wait for their big break. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I wasn't special. I was just another kid with divorce from reality parents. The admission hung between us like a bridge neither of us knew how to cross. What changed? I asked quietly. Dr. Martinez gave me homework. She said I needed to understand the actual statistics of the industry instead of living in the fantasy Mom built for me. She pulled out her phone, showing me notes she had typed. Do you know what percentage of SAG-AFTRA members make a living wage from acting alone? Less than 2%, Keilla. 2%. I studied my sister's face, seeing something I'd never seen before. Genuine self-reflection. The entitled princess who'd blamed everyone else for her problems was gone, replaced by someone who looked fragile but oddly more real. I've been thinking about what you said, about having options. She picked at the splintered wood beneath her hands. I don't know who I am if I'm not an actress. That's all I've ever been, you know? Lily Williams, the talented one, the special one, the one worth sacrificing everything for. Maybe it's time to find out who you are without all that, I said. She nodded slowly. I've been watching your streams. From the beginning, I mean. Going back through your old videos. Her cheeks flushed slightly. You're really good at explaining complicated things. And your editing? I never realized how much work goes into making those tutorials look effortless.
It wasn't exactly an apology, but it felt like understanding. Maybe that was more important. Want to learn? I asked. Her face lit up for the first time in days. Really? You'd teach me? On one condition, I said, echoing the ultimatums I'd been giving our family for months. But this time, my voice was gentle. You have to promise you're doing it because you're genuinely interested, not because you think it'll fix things between us. I promise. She paused. Though I do hope it helps fix things. I miss having a sister. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not breaking, but opening, like the first thaw after a long winter. Yeah, I said quietly. I miss that too. Mom lasted exactly 6 weeks at the Millfield Walmart before she got fired. The manager was unreasonable, she told Dad over dinner, her voice sharp with indignation. She expected me to know where everything was on my 3rd day, and the customers were so rude. I was sitting in my car outside their house, delivering groceries I'd bought because I knew Dad's first paycheck wouldn't cover everything. Through the kitchen window, I could see the whole scene playing out like a depressing sitcom. Rebecca, you can't keep doing this, Dad. He ran his hands through his hair. This is the 3rd job in 2 months. Don't blame me for refusing to be treated like dirt by people who don't understand what I've sacrificed for this family. That was Mom, always the victim, never the cause. Even now, even after everything that had come out in therapy, she couldn't accept that her choices had consequences. I knocked on the door, letting myself in with the key I'd never returned. The house smelled like microwave dinners and disappointment. Keilla! Dad jumped up like I'd caught him doing something wrong. We weren't expecting you. Good thing, since you'd probably have cleaned up the collection notices first. I set the grocery bags on the counter, noting the stack of bills marked overdue that Mom tried to hide under a magazine. Lost another job, I hear. It wasn't my fault, Mom started. It never is. I pulled milk and bread from the bags, my movements sharp with frustration. Mrs. Henderson at the grocery store told me you applied there last week. Want to guess why she didn't hire you? Silence. Because you spent the entire interview talking about how retail work was beneath someone with your background, how you were just doing this temporarily until your daughter's career took off again. She's just taking a break. Mom's voice was desperate now. No, she's growing up. She's accepting reality and finding new dreams, which is more than I can say for you. Dad cleared his throat. Kilo, your mother is struggling with the adjustment.
Dad, you've been adjusting for 6 months. At what point do we call it what it is? Failure. The word landed like a slap. I'm paying your rent, your utilities, your food. I got you job interviews, therapy sessions, a fresh start, and you're still acting like martyrs instead of grateful family members. We are grateful, Dad started. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're waiting for me to get tired of the conditions and just hand over a blank check so you can run back to LA and pretend none of this happened. The accuracy of my accusation was written all over their faces. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice calm but final. You have 30 days to prove you can function like responsible adults. Dad, I see genuine effort from you, but you need to stop enabling Mom's delusions. Mom, you get one more job. One. And if you blow it, I'm done. Not just with the financial support. Done completely. You can't just abandon us again, Mom's voice cracked. Watch me. I headed for the door, then paused. The difference is, this time you'll have brought it on yourselves, and this time you'll know exactly what you're losing. I left them sitting at their kitchen table, surrounded by bills they couldn't pay and dreams they couldn't let go of. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Dad put his head in his hands while Mom sat rigid with fury. Some people changed when they hit rock bottom. Others just kept digging. I was finally ready to find out which kind of parents I had. I should have seen it coming. The signs were all there. Mom's increasing resentment at having to work retail, her constant comments about wasting Lily's prime years in this backwater town, the way she'd grown quieter during our family dinners, but more agitated afterward. She'd been saving money. I found out later she'd been skimming from the grocery budget for weeks, living on ramen and rice to scrape together enough for bus tickets. Jake was the one who told me they were gone. Saw your mom and Lily at the Greyhound station this morning. Big suitcases. Lily looked like she didn't want to be there. My blood went cold. What time? 7:30. The LA bus leaves at 8. I was already grabbing my keys, my phone, my wallet. They had a 6-hour head start, but flights were faster than buses. I could catch them if I moved fast enough.
Then I stopped. Hand on the doorknob, keys cutting into my palm, I stood there frozen by a realization that hit like ice water. This was exactly what Mom wanted. The drama, the chase, the crisis that would force me to swoop in and save them again. She was counting on my need to fix things, to prove my love through grand gestures and unlimited second chances. But what if I didn't? What if I let them go? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Keilla, it's Lily. Mom said we had to leave. I don't want to go back. I want to stay and learn with you. But she says if I don't come now, I'll regret it forever. I'm sorry. Another message. She used the emergency credit card you gave Dad. We're on the bus. I tried to call you, but she took my phone. I stared at the texts, my hands shaking. Lily was 17. Technically, she had to go where her mother took her, but she was also old enough to make her own choices, if she was brave enough. The third message came an hour later. We're in Indianapolis. Mom's talking about how we just need to get back to LA and everything will be fine. She says you'll forgive us eventually because we're family. I don't think she understands what she's doing. I called Dad. They're gone, he said before I could speak. His voice was hollow, defeated. I woke up and found a note. Rebecca took Lily back to chase the dream. Are you going after them? A long pause. I don't know. Part of me thinks I should, but Keilla, I'm tired. I'm so damn tired of always chasing after them, of always being the one who has to fix Rebecca's impulsive decisions. Then don't, I said quietly. Let her face the consequences of her choices. Let Lily learn what happens when you run from reality instead of dealing with it. But what if? What if Lily gets hurt? What if Mom finally hits rock bottom? Dad, they made this choice. Both of them. Lily's 17, not 7. She knew what she was doing when she got on that bus. I could hear him crying on the other end of the line. 47 years old,
And my father was crying because he finally understood that love without boundaries isn't love at all. It's enabling. "What do we do now?" he asked. I looked around my house at the life I'd built from the ashes of their abandonment, at the success I'd achieved, the relationship with Jake that was growing stronger every day, the bond I'd been rebuilding with Grandma Rose, at the stability and peace I'd created in the space their chaos used to occupy. "We let them go," I said, "and we build something better with the people who choose to stay." That night, I got one final text from Lily. "I made a mistake. I should have stayed with you, but I can't abandon Mom the way they abandoned you. I have to try to save her, even if it destroys me too." I typed and deleted a dozen responses, begging her to come back, offering to fly out and get her, promising that everything would be okay if she just chose us instead of the fantasy. Finally, I sent, "I love you. I'll be here when you're ready to save yourself instead of her." Then I blocked the number. Some lessons, I realized, can only be learned alone. 2 years later, I was setting up for my biggest live stream yet, a collaboration with 3 major tech companies announcing my new coding bootcamp for underserved communities, when Dad knocked on my office door. "You've got visitors," he said, his smile cautious but genuine.
Dad had stayed in Ohio, had kept his job at the accounting firm, had even started dating someone, a kind woman named Patricia who worked at the library and didn't care about Hollywood dreams or stage mothers. He lived in a small apartment downtown now, came to Sunday dinners at Grandma Rose's, and had slowly, carefully rebuilt his relationship with me based on honesty instead of obligation. The visitors were Lily and a young man I didn't recognize. My sister looked different, older, obviously, but also steadier somehow. Her hair was shorter, practical rather than performance-ready, and she wore jeans and a simple sweater instead of the carefully curated outfits she'd favored in LA. The most striking change was her eyes. They held a clarity I'd never seen before. "Hi," she said, her voice uncertain. "I know I said I'd stay away until I figured my life out. I think I finally have." The young man beside her stepped forward. "I'm David Chen. I've heard a lot about you." He had kind eyes and a firm handshake. "I've been following your work since Lily showed me your channels. Really impressive stuff." "David's a social worker," Lily explained. "We met at a community center in LA where I was volunteering after everything fell apart with Mom." I gestured for them to sit, my live stream temporarily forgotten. "How are you?" "Broke, mostly," Lily said with a laugh that held no bitterness, "but alive and free." She looked around my office, taking in the professional setup, the awards on the walls, the life I'd built. "God, Keilla, look at all this. You did it. You actually did it." "What happened with Mom?" I asked quietly. Lily's expression grew complicated. She's still Mom, still convinced that one more audition, one more headshot, one more connection will make all the difference. She got a job as a hostess at a restaurant in West Hollywood, spends all her tips on acting classes and vision boards. She paused. "I tried to save her for 6 months, nearly destroyed myself doing it." "What changed?" "David," she said simply, looking at him with something that made my chest tight with recognition. "He helped me understand that you can't love someone into being healthy. You can't sacrifice yourself to fix someone else's broken dreams." David nodded. "Lily's been working with at-risk youth for the past year. Turns out she's incredible with kids who've been let down by the adults in their lives. She has this way of helping them see their own worth." "I learned it from you," Lily said, meeting my eyes, "from watching you build something amazing out of nothing. From seeing how you chose yourself when no one else would." I felt tears threatening. "Lily," she said, "I came to apologize, not just for leaving with Mom, but for everything, for being the golden child who never questioned why I deserved more attention, for blaming you when my dreams didn't pan out, for not seeing how incredible you were until I had to learn to be incredible myself." "And to ask for your help," David added gently. "Not money, Lily has been very clear about that,
but advice. We want to start a nonprofit, helping kids whose families are chasing impossible dreams at their expense. Kids like we were. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw someone I'd never met before. Not the entitled princess or the broken dreamer, but a woman who'd faced her failures and chosen to transform them into purpose. "What would you need from me?" I asked. "Just what you've always given me when I actually deserved it. Your time, your knowledge, your partnership." That evening, Dad, Lily, David, and Jake and I sat around Grandma Rose's kitchen table, sharing pot roast and stories. It wasn't the family I'd grown up with. That family was gone, broken apart by impossible dreams and selfish choices. This was something new, something chosen. "You know what I realized?" I said as we cleared the dishes. "I spent so many years trying to prove I was worthy of love. But love isn't something you earn through success or fix through sacrifice. It's something you build with people who choose to show up." Grandma Rose smiled from her chair by the window. "Took you long enough to figure that out, baby girl." I laughed, looking around the table at the faces of people who'd chosen to stay, to grow, to build something real instead of chasing something impossible. Mom never came back to Ohio. She sent a Christmas card once full of updates about opportunities and connections, signed "Love Mom," like nothing had ever been broken between us. I kept the card for a week before throwing it away. Some stories don't get perfect endings, but some stories get true ones. And sometimes that's even better.
Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.